Are the Valkyries good? And the sub question is, do you believe that they actually have a shot to compete for a playoff spot? 13 teams, 8 teams make the playoffs. Can they be one of the top 8 teams?
Like, yes, but also no. Just there are teams that are underperforming right now that I feel like the Valkyries have been able to catch on maybe a moment where they're injured, but at the same time, it's like, everyone's injured, so you don't put an asterisk on that win by any means. But the Los Angeles Sparks, they've now beaten 2 out of 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Opening night, they lose by what, 15? Second time they play them, a little more on the blowout side, I feel like. It was maybe in the 20s that they beat them by. And then this last time it went to OT. But of course, the Sparks are missing their number 2 pick from last year's draft, Cameron Brink, who's coming back in the next couple of days, or sounds like that she's going to be back really soon.
She actually took offense. She's been so good on social media, and she finally took offense and said, "Hey, man, I'm almost there. This was really hard. Quit like saying that I should be out there when I'm rehabbing."
Sorry, Cam.
I think people are just excited to see her out there.
Yeah, because I mean, again, I don't want to talk bad about the Sparks bigs, but it was just like I just couldn't believe what I was watching, in the sense of, you had the big do what the Valkyries were doing on defense. Like, say Temi, right? Temi's really good with her speed. She's very fast. Temi would, what is it called when you're like, you're getting screened, and then so the help defender shoots the screen, like goes over it and like hard helps, like for a second, help and recover. Like a hedge, help and recover.
Yeah.
Like, Temi does that really well because she's so fast and she could, help and quickly recover. But the Sparks players against Julie Van Loo, where the big just knows she's too slow to help and recover, she would just hedge, double. I was like, Julie Van Loo hasn't hit a 3-pointer in I don't know how long. You don't need to. You could just back up all the way and play drop coverage against Julie Van Loo, against Carla, who was 0 of 8 from 3. Like, what's the game plan here of why would you shoot the screen? Why would you help and double her? And then Julie, just being the great passer she is, just boom, roller every single time. And I was just like, this doesn't happen if Cameron Brink's here. The Sparks don't have a first round pick in this upcoming draft. And I haven't fact checked this. I'm pretty sure I just heard Sabrina Merchant say this like on a podcast once. So that's what I'm going off of. And I meant to fact check what the draft looked like next year, but I'm pretty sure Chicago doesn't have their pick either. And both teams are like underperforming like crazy. So, the Sparks with Plum, with Hamby, with Rakia, with Cam, like, I'd like to think that they probably have a better chance at that 8th playoff spot than the Valkyries do. And then even when I look Chicago's way, like, I think, that coach I was watching some games, and I'd look at the stats sheet and I'd like, why is this? They have like a Valkyries level spread offense in terms of field goal attempts, like where everybody eats. And I'm like, wait, but you guys have Camila Cardoso and you guys have Angel Reese, like players that you could probably have eat up the shot attempts just because they're really talented. Like, you don't need to do the Valkyries thing where it's like, we don't have someone like that. So kind of everybody eats. And so I feel like, them as well could, and they have Powers, Ariel Atkins, not Ariel Powers as well, who they traded for and traded a couple picks for that. So it's like they had, they thought that they were going to easily be in the playoff. Maybe not easily, but they thought they would have a chance at the playoffs this year. So I feel like those two teams specifically is kind of the ones I'm looking at right now of like, do the Valkyries have, they started off hot, but do they have what it takes to kind of stay at this 8th seed pace that the Sparks in Chicago, like Chicago looks pretty bad right now. Like, I don't know if maybe Chicago, they need, I feel like they need some drastic changes. Like they just have a brand new head coach. Like, I don't know, scrap the game plan. I don't know how long that takes to do and change, but I would have thought that Chicago and Los Angeles definitely would be in the playoff hunt. Just and I'm thinking like NBA brain. Like, if you don't have your first round pick, you have nothing to do but try to contend, right? Because you can't tank. You don't have your first round pick.
speaking of that, I was looking at the Tankathon website, and you're right. No Sparks pick, but they say that Chicago does have Connecticut's first round pick. So Chicago does have a pick, but the Sparks do not.
Connecticut doesn't have their pick.
Connecticut does not have their. No, Connecticut actually does have a pick, but they have Phoenix's pick. So that would be, they have Phoenix's pick and they have New York's pick. So they're, if they had their own pick, like right now, they'd be in the 5th spot. But because they don't, they have Phoenix's pick and New York's pick. They are currently have 2 first-round picks at 12 and 14.
Yep.
And the funny thing is, and maybe not so funny as we get closer to the end of the season and the draft order in 2026 NBA draft, WNBA draft, the Valkyries are actually behind the 2 expansion teams who automatically get put in after the first 5. So
that would be that would suck if the Valkyries were the 8. I mean, so it would be so cool to go to a playoff. Because of the new rules, we would actually get a home game if we were the 8th seed. Would be like so electric. Probably a ticket that I couldn't even get, but I would try hard to.
Valhalla would be rocking.
We'd probably say it's probably the Liberty. Or it's probably Minnesota. Obviously, we would probably lose that first round. And
they played Minnesota pretty well, and they played New York in one of the games pretty well, but they got smoked in that other one.
I'm just not ready. I'm not there yet. I'm not there to even entertain the idea of meaningful basketball that they would beat the 2 best teams.
You know who's there right now though? Joey Lacob. He's there. Him and Pajemski, they're ready. They're already thinking about their fits for the playoffs. Like Pajemski, he's he's thinking about the glasses he's gonna wear. He's ready. The one game he didn't go to was the Aces game.
That's the one game I didn't go to too. So maybe me and Pods are just the bad luck job. And I'm probably not going to go to the game this Saturday against Seattle. But I was already researching. I've been watching college hoops for this purpose. I've been keeping up with the international names for this purpose. I thought we were going to be a top 3 pick, and I'm not upset.
But we will have one of the top picks coming. Her name is Eustace. She will be here.
I even told Eustace who I thought that they were going to get with the 1st or 2nd pick in this year's draft. She'll have to confirm that one day, but I'm caught off guard here. But here's the thing. Okay, once again, we've said it every podcast. Eventually, this will stop being said. But this is we have NBA background. We know a lot of our comparisons go to NBA first before WNBA, and 2023 Utah Jazz is whatever the first year where they got rid of Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert.
Mm-hmm.
I got to talk to Tony Jones, who was the Athletics beat writer for the Utah Jazz. And I realized going into the podcast, I was like, I don't know what I want to talk about this team. I think they're going to suck.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we do the podcast, and it actually turns out that the Utah Jazz started off on pace for top 3 seed within the first pre All-Star break. They were on pace to easily be a playoff team with no Donovan Mitchell, with no Rudy Gobert. And a lot of articles were written about it, trying to figure out why. And some articles came to the conclusion that they were really well conditioned. that the Utah training camp just got them super conditioned. And also other teams weren't used to this version. You needed film to understand how to beat this version because it's never been seen before, of this accumulation of players. And do you think there's any of that with the Valkyries? One, they look like they can beat anyone in a sprint race because they just want to play fast the whole time. Will other teams eventually catch up and become more conditioned? I don't know. 2, do other teams just need more film to know, hey, maybe we should play drop against Julie and Carla until they beat us from 3?
I mean,
that
would be the thing. I would do the whole thing that the Warriors do and just leave one person completely unattended to and see if that helps guard a 5-on-4 on part of the court and just leave some of these shooters just wide open. So here's you mentioned Sabrina, the great Sabrina Merchant. Here's her power rankings. So New York 1, Minnesota 2, Seattle 3, Atlanta 4, Indiana 5, Phoenix 6, Valkyrie 7, Vegas 8, Washington 9,
Vegas 8.
Los Angeles 10, Connecticut 11, Chicago, and then Dallas.